Recently, I was having a terrible day. I was frustrated, but I couldn't really figure out why. I wasn't tired and I wasn't sick and I felt physically strong. I was productive that morning. I got some writing done, which usually makes me feel really good. I even enjoyed a delicious lunch before I headed out on a long walk with my dog. I had a good night's sleep the night before, and I even carved out a few minutes that morning to be grateful for all the blessings in my life. And doing that usually puts me in a quiet, peaceful, appreciative mood. So I had absolutely nothing to be sad about, yet there I was, just kind of blah. But it kept bothering me, so I kept thinking about it. What is causing me this unquietness? And I finally figured it out. I felt rushed. That's it. I was feeling hurried for some reason, but why? You know, everyone feels rushed on occasion, right? But for some people, like myself included, this is a feeling that's way too familiar for me. You see, I used to be, and still am on occasion, a chronically rushed person. It makes me think of the lyrics from the band Alabama that says, "I'm in a hurry to get things done, oh I rush and rush until life's no fun. All I really gotta do is live and die, but I'm in a hurry and don't know why." It's exactly how I was feeling. And over the past few years, I've been making a concerted effort to try to break myself of this nasty habit. I think I may have gotten it from my dad. He used to be a rushaholic. A rushaholic is obviously someone whose default state in life is to rush through everything. It's someone who's often chronically future focused at the expense of enjoying the present moment. And when I was growing up, he didn't enjoy projects, he completed them, usually in an angry flurry. He worked as fast and as furious as humanly possible. Why? Well, I believe a lot of it had to do with the fact that my dad was a farmer from the day he was born until the farm sale in his mid-40s. And I know of not many other professions that's such a hurry up and wait as farming. Farmers wait around all winter, doing minor jobs and chores, waiting for the last snowfall to pass so they can blitz the field with their planters in tow. Because every beautiful spring day that passes without the seeds down in the ground is lost opportunity. It's lower crop yields. So planting season is the stressful rush. It often consists of the crack of dawn mornings followed by moonlit wrap-up nights. For the farmer, planting and harvesting seasons are like a zombie-like existence. Then, once the seeds are in the ground, the fast pace wears off, only to enter the season of worry. You know, you're worried about floods or hailstorms or droughts that can ruin your entire livelihood. Bottom line is farming is not for the faint of heart. Then, if you survive all those unforeseen obstacles, it's a new flurry of long days and sleepless nights. The new scramble is to get the crops off the stalks before they become unprofitable and fall to the ground. Again, once the crops are ready to harvest, every delay is a lost opportunity via lower crop yields. So if that's the life you know, live and breathe every day, it's the way you become. You get intimate with a deep-seated, deep-rooted sense of urgency. You feel it in your bones, in your soul, with every fiber of your being for extended periods of time, at least 2 times a year. Even years after he stopped farming, he still treated most of his projects in that same manner. He prefers to get things done, even if the job isn't perfect. In his default mode of operation, for him, cutting a few corners is fine if it works in the end. Looking pretty is something you worry about later, if you ever find time to circle back around at all. And when it comes to home project, for example, he likes to say, quote, "Putty and paint make a carpenter when he ain't." So there you go, a done job summed up by an old farmer's slogan. I also grew up on a farm for the day I was born until I was about 18 years old. So I also caught a severe case of project urgency. Now, I'm not knocking a good sense of urgency. Honestly, I don't know a prosperous farmer who doesn't have a robust sense of urgency. It's a requirement for that job. Without it, you just don't last. I also suspect that an excellent ER surgeon isn't one that wastes time at the water cooler dissecting your fantasy football team lineup with a new intern while a gunshot victim is losing copious amounts of blood. Instead, such an ER doctor would move swiftly with purpose and focus, not sprinting perhaps, but not strolling either, getting all the facts efficiently, wasting no time in doing so. During all of life's critical emergencies, a sense of urgency and a heightened awareness, it's key to success. But it's also very important to turn off that sense of urgency when it's not necessary. We all need to understand when it's useful and when it's helpful and then when it's not. For example, when I'm out walking my dog after lunch, it's not a very helpful attitude. At lunchtime walk, it should be leisurely. It should be a thoughtful experience, one to be savored and cherished, not rushed. So why do I find myself yanking on my dog's leash to hurry him along? It's as though I think I have something that I have better to do, that I need to rush through this moment to get to. Or perhaps I'm just rushing through this moment because I'm bored. But boredom is a choice. Young children, before the age of 3 or so, they don't even know what boredom is. Why? Because nearly every experience is fresh and exciting to them. I mean, if you take a kid that age around the block, they're looking at rocks, they're fascinated by pine cones, the stuff you barely notice. It's all fascinating and a brand new adventure to them. I vividly recall one afternoon throwing rocks into a river with my 2-year-old daughter. I was determined not to be the one that stopped or cut the fun short due to my boredom. I wanted her to keep picking and tossing until she was 100% satisfied. You know how long that took? Over 2 hours. Yes, it was mind-numbingly boring to me, but it was pure joy to her. So as parents and grandparents, this is one of the hardest things we have to master. When we get bored, we often suggest to our little ones to go do something new. Hey there, little Timmy. Hey, let's stop doing what we're doing and go to the swings for a while, okay? Yeah. And then you go over to the swings, right? Oh, okay, that's enough now. Let's go dig in the sand. Ready? Do you want to kick the ball around? Let's move on. How about a snack? Are you hungry? The little ones are often content to keep doing the same things if they're fun for them for hours. And yes, they're having an absolute blast swinging or going down the same slide again and again. Or yes, climbing the same damn rock 73 times in a row. But who's counting? But you're bored. So you use your powers of persuasion to convince them to do something new, to find a way to end your painful boredom. But again, boredom is a choice. We should all learn to find pleasure in the simple things, to try to see the world through the eyes of a young child. For example, when I'm out walking my dog, I should stay focused on all the beautiful noises, sights, and sounds. The world is fascinating if you slow down, you pay attention, and you listen. Bored people are missing out. This all reminds me of a quote that I read that really struck home to me. Yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. So yes, oftentimes urgency is a great thing. Often it's not. To figure out if it's helpful at any given moment, try asking yourself a simple question. If the task or project you're currently working on takes twice as long as normal, what's the downside? If you're a farmer during harvest season or planting season, the answer is a ton of money. So urgency is wise. It's required. And if you're an ER surgeon, twice as long would be life or death. So again, urgency is necessary. However, if you're walking your dog and it takes 1 hour versus 30 minutes, there's no downside. Heck, walking outside on a beautiful day is probably the best thing you could be doing at that exact moment. Are you really rushing through a walk so you can get home sooner and start that multi-season Netflix binge? Is it a wise choice to hurry through dinner, barely tasting it, just because your default mindset is in urgency mode? Living a life in constant urgency by default, it's a sad, hard way to live. You miss opportunities to connect, to enjoy, and experience the best, simple details of life. Here's another insightful quote. He who sows hurry reaps indigestion. There's a real cost to chronic urgency. Sure, it may look to others like you're a serious, efficient person when rushing. Your flurry of activity does tend to convey impressive productivity. But does this look always translate into actual results? Maybe, maybe not. First off, rushing, it can often shave a few minutes off a task, but often not as much as you think. We've all rushed across town in our vehicles. We're late for an important meeting, right? And wouldn't you know it, every traffic light and every brain-dead human is out to get you. You stomp on the gas pedal, you slam on the brakes, you honk your horn at the Sunday driver in front of you. You're bewildered. How can he be so calm and slow and inconsiderate? Can't he tell I'm in a freaking hurry? Well, let's say it takes 20 minutes to get across town. You'll be lucky if your urgent behavior shaves 5 minutes off that total travel time. You'll be more likely to maybe shave a mere 2 or 3 minutes. Why? Because of traffic lights and other safety rules of the road. It's a fact that your chosen leave time has nearly all the control over whether you arrive early, on time, or late. So start leaving early and take a book if you want to avoid rushing. However, if you choose to rush regardless of this fact, then you're inviting a lot more risk and error into your life than is necessary. Because darting in and out of traffic makes accidents much more likely. Maybe you decide to run just a turned red light and end up sideswiping somebody. Or maybe you hit a pedestrian or a biker in your temporarily insane rushing mental state. Are an extra 3 minutes saved worth the risk of a preventable injury or death? If something like this happens, not only are you severely late, but you're not gonna make it at all. And you're probably gonna be at fault for the accident that you caused. So the urgency you had in that situation might not be such a good thing after all. Of course, a stout sense of urgency can be very helpful at work, especially if that's the default culture of the company. For example, I worked for 10 years at a pet food factory as a project engineer, and I had a boss with an extreme sense of urgency. He always expected you to walk quickly and with purpose. No dilly-dallying, no idle chit-chat. Everything was moving forward with gusto. So my boss, he loved me. I had all the standard walk and talk urgency cues down pat. I looked like I was getting lots done all the time, but honestly, 85% of it was an act. I'd mastered the art of looking busy. I had a coworker of mine, a fellow project engineer, that had exactly zero sense of urgency. He walked slow. He talked slow. He even ate his lunch excruciatingly slow. And it drove my boss freaking up the wall. My boss was always pestering him about hurrying things along and walking with purpose and time is money, etc. But here's the truth. Even with what looked like low urgency, he finished just as many projects as I did throughout the year. Most of them on time. But here's the kicker, he had fewer errors, less mistakes. So who's the better, more productive engineer? The results suggest it probably wasn't me. But it didn't matter though, because perception is reality. My boss perceived me to be more productive. So I often got a lot of accolades and praises, while my coworker, he got pestered until he left the company. Whoever's in a hurry shows that the thing he is about is too big for him. Yet sometimes urgency is a good thing in a controlled dosage. But chronic and unnecessarily high levels of it, it comes with added risks of mistakes. On the other end of the spectrum, low urgency can look bad, especially when delays have serious consequences. If a multi-million-dollar factory is down and your boss finds you taking your sweet time to walk to the problem, it doesn't matter how fast you fix it, it's not a good look. So have I learned my lesson? Well, sort of. Since I've left both the farm and the factory, I've been slowly shedding my chronic urgency. I've started to ask myself, the urgency I feel is helping or hurting my current situation. I've learned that asking the right questions can help me sort out whether I should be rushing or not. So for those of you who have rushed through this video, here's a question you should start asking yourself to match the appropriate amount of urgency with any situation. Question, what's the payoff to rush right now? If I rush, realistically, how much do I think I can save? What's the risk of rushing in such a situation? If the task or the project I'm currently working on takes me twice as long as normal, what's the downside? If I take my time and relax, what's the worst that can happen? Is the future activity that I'm trying to get to and rush to, is it more exciting that I'm missing the thing I'm currently doing at this precise moment? These simple questions can help you quickly get to the payoff, the risk, and the missed opportunities that rushing can create. Sometimes rushing is worth it. Usually, it's not. Unfortunately, even with these questions, I'm not entirely cured of this urgent disease. I still struggle and find myself relapsing into chronic urgency. I'm far too often future focused, and I'm looking for the next thing that I want to get to instead of thoroughly enjoying the current thing I'm doing right now. And the irony is, when I finally get to that future thing that I'm rushing towards, I'm already thinking about the next future thing. And while I'm rushing to get to the next thing that somehow seems better than the current moment, I'm missing out on the only part of life that really is, the right now. And that's why I'm continually trying to remind myself the journey is the destination. So unless it's absolutely necessary, try slowing down. Take a deep breath, relax, and enjoy life. Otherwise, one day you're gonna wake up and you're gonna wonder why you were in such a freaking rush to get to the end of it. One major cause of rushing is feeling extreme anxiety about the future, feeling insecure, not sure if you'll be able to handle a future emergency, not having any backups or any real skills or the right mental toughness. If this sounds like you, then you're part of what I call the fragile masses. But for those of us who have invested in some financial resiliency as well as strategic backups, we can relax. We don't feel the same level of constant stress. Why? Because we're living a resilient life and we can slow down and we can enjoy things without having to rush around. Because becoming a more resilient person provides benefits of options and security in your life. All these qualities, they're necessary for achieving true fulfillment and happiness. So if this sounds like something that you want to learn more about, you gotta check out a program that I built from the ground up called The Resilient Life. You can find out more by clicking the link in the description below. And until next time, prepare, adapt, and overcome.